welcome back to the Idealist Conspiracy. We are back with another video. Today's video is very important because a lot of us need to recognize this when we are going into relationships with people. Today's video is about red flags in relationships.
Indeed, and welcome back. Welcome back,
y'all. We are back with another one. So like we did before, I'm going to ask him all some questions. You know, he is the credentialed man here. And he actually just reached a big accomplishment. Amal, tell us what it is.
I finally got my certificate for my license so I can start.
He has his bachelor's, his master's, so he is doing it big, and he is here to share all of that knowledge with us, all for the freebie. So we have to thank him for that. So the first question I have for you, Amal, is what red flags can you notice in the getting to know each other phase?
It usually depends on what type of questions that you ask, and hopefully you're asking a lot of questions. You're trying to really get to know someone, and instead of like they're attractive and you're just sitting there enjoying their company, it's really about getting to know them and asking questions that kind of force a person to display themselves to you, right? Okay. And give you the information. Like if you are a man and the woman that you're talking to is if you ask her questions about what kind of man she likes and she's very on the surface, then she's likely a shallow person, and you're likely to be in a situation where you're going to get used, right? And if a woman is talking to a man and she's asking him questions and he's getting tired of being asked questions or doesn't want to be asked questions, then that's already a red flag showing you that there's a problem. Because if he can't answer questions about his life, he's not going to be able to answer questions about your relationship or take you to a better place in your relationship.
Okay, so that makes me think of something. So in the past, I've been in situations with people and they're doing the opposite things. So how can you discern the difference between someone who's like over love bombing and someone who's kind of just nonchalant, doesn't want to answer? Like, what are the red flags in both of those two type of people?
Well, overdoing it is just as bad as underdoing it, right? So if somebody overdoes it and they're over trying to sell you on them, either they're genuinely insecure and they're just trying to sell you on the thought of being with them, which is understandable. We all have insecurities. Right. Or they're genuinely trying to hit you with all these points and sell it to you because they know that they're wrong or that they're lying, and they're just trying to get you to believe what they already believe. Because some people lie so much, even they start to believe what they're lying about, which makes them seem more trickier because those people tend to be more manipulative because they learn how to manipulate out of a need, right? Those people usually have rough relationships with their parents, or their parents are very restrictive. So they learn to manipulate and lie in such a way that they almost confuse themselves about their lies. Gotcha. And so those types of people, you have to just give them time, right? Mm-hmm. Keep track of the things that you're talking about with them and give them time. Ask them one question and then come back on the next date and ask them the same question. And if you get the exact same answer, the exact same way, then they're probably practicing what they're saying. Because people they may say the same thing, but they're not going to necessarily say it in the exact same way unless they're remembering their lines, like rehearsing.
Wow. People go through those lengths to manipulate people, remembering lines.
Some people do, but it's honestly, it's rare. Most people lie out of habit and they lie out of desire. Most people are not that manipulative. So if you give them enough time and space, they'll show who they are regardless of how much they're trying to hold in with what's going on with them. If you give them time and space, they're going to tell you what it is. So especially when it comes with men, if you're a woman dating men, you just got to give them time and space. He can only play pretend for so long. Even if he's lying to himself, it'll become very apparent in a short amount of time. Just give it a week or two, and don't give him anything as a reward as far as your relationship is concerned that he hasn't earned with his behavior. Because as soon as he earns that reward, he's going to become more manipulative.
And what he means by that is don't go throwing your precious bits to them, as in sleeping around. That's what he's referring to when he says that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, hey, look, it's just to protect you. right?
Yeah.
You have to use your imagination in a positive way. Depression and anxiety is just negative ways to use your imagination. The most positive way to use your imagination is to see yourself after events and before events, right? Ask yourself, I'm looking at him, I'm looking at his company, I'm looking at his life. If I sleep with this dude, and am I gonna feel good about this? Am I gonna feel good about my situation? Am I gonna feel good about what he's giving me? And is sleeping with this man enough? If I don't get nothing else from this, was sleeping with him okay? Right? Because if you don't feel like you're gonna get anything else out of that relationship but sex, and sex is not something that you care about like that, then it's a waste of your time to give that person yourself if you think that they're not gonna be able to offer you anything else in terms of a relationship.
So what about people who will confuse feeling good as in feeling some type of emotional connection with the person that they're seeking out? Like, how can people know the difference between that? Because there's been times where you sleep with somebody wanting to feel closer to them, and then that's the most intimate way you can, but it doesn't necessarily make you feel good. But in your mind, you'll be telling yourself, okay, this is the good choice to make.
And this is where self-awareness comes in as a big thing that will always be mentioned over and over again on this channel, the self-awareness part of it, right? Your self-awareness of what you really desire and what you really know that you deserve. Because when you desire a certain thing and you know you deserve a certain thing, you cannot put up with less, because the universe doesn't listen to what you say. It listens to the things that you do, your actions, your behaviors. So you really have to ask yourself and know yourself, is this enough for me? You've had enough situations and sleeping with people at a certain point in your life to realize, okay, this ain't really for nothing. Like, if you just want to sleep with somebody and you enjoy the sex and it's not a big deal and you cutting the line off there, good. But I'm gonna tell you this, I know a lot of women, and most women are not cool with that. Majority of them don't want that. They don't want to have a sex that doesn't lead into anything, that doesn't have a connection. But the problem is that sex is not a lead thing. You don't use it to lead into nothing. If you want to be intimate with somebody without all of that, then really have those intimate conversations. Like I said, they can only pretend for so long before they really start to show who they are. And it's going to be quick. As long as you don't trick yourself, someone else won't be able to trick you. But the problem is when you start to lie to yourself about what the person is doing and saying, because that right there leads to their ability to manipulate you. Because one thing a lot of women have to understand is that, I've met a lot of women in my life, if you like a man enough, you'll trick yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the lack of self-awareness of why you actually like this man. Whatever you like in him is not absent in you, right? So it's not you're not having a polarity with them. It's not chemistry. It's your fear of not having.
Right.
So with that being said, you just give a man time, and you'll see everything that you need to say. Don't give him rewards without giving them the time to show who he is. Because once he's been rewarded, he's gonna think my behavior is great. I'm on point. You gave me what you would give somebody who was on point. So thank you. I'm on point.
Yeah. And to be clear, 2 weeks is not enough time. A month is not enough time. What do you think is enough time to really see someone's total intention?
Honestly, the time isn't the problem. You can, your awareness is your ability to know when time is ready, right? Like I tell people when I give them advice about driving, I'm like, you can drive fast if you drive proficient, but you can't put speed before proficiency. So if you good and you know how to pay attention quickly, then you can move quickly. But if you can't pay attention quickly, you shouldn't move quickly. So my advice is, if you feel like, man, I'm not at a place where I really know myself really well, then how much you know yourself will tell you how quickly you can move. Because if you know yourself, you can move quickly, safely. But you'll always put the safety above moving quickly, right? And so as long as you know yourself, if you know yourself well, you might in 2 weeks and be like, we good.
Right.
But if you don't know yourself, that means that you need to take more time. The more you don't know yourself, the more you feel like you've been through abuse, been through trauma, the more time you should take so you can see the little bits. You give yourself time to see, because they might be displaying all the red flags, but you don't see it because you haven't given it enough time.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the more subtle red flags that maybe people won't necessarily notice as red flags?
Time with texting and calling. Like, people feel like I'm busy. I have things to do. I have a job. I have a side job. I got hustles. I got things that I do. I'm busy, but I will always make time for a woman that I'm interested in, that I like. There's no way I'm not gonna make time for her if I'm interested. Right. So when people don't hit you back, take it as a sign. Yeah. They don't text you back. First off, it's like, if they don't call you back, okay, maybe they are doing something where they can't call you back. But if they don't text you back, who's that busy?
Nobody.
You ain't dating Bill Gates. You ain't dating presidential candidates. You dating regular people. And even if that regular person is making 150,000, 200,000, they're not automatically that busy.
No.
Right? So if someone is too busy for you, that is a number one red flag to show you, okay, they're too busy for you because you're not a priority, not because they're too busy.
Right, exactly. So what is the number one red flag for people that are specifically abusers? Physical abusers, to be specific.
The number one red flag for physical abusers is it's aggression, right? Because even with people who are physical abusers, it's not like they're going to jump out at the very beginning and hit you. They're going to slowly escalate to kind of acclimate you to their abuse, right? So the number one I usually see is the person starts to say that they have problems with the people around you, right? Because your friends, your family, your community of people around you are not just people that you care about, but they're also protective forces in your life, and they keep you safe from things that you may not see. As my friend, there are things that you may see that me being in the situation, I might not see. And so you, as my friend, I know if you saw something, you'd be like, Mom, hey, that don't look right. Right? So if a person starts to separate you, oh, your friends is terrible, you need to stop talking to them, they ain't good people. Oh, your mom is da-da-da-da-da. If they trying to distance you from people, it's very early on, then they're likely to be physically abusive, because what they're trying to do is seclude you. Once they get you by yourself, then the physical abuse is going to start, right? And once you get into that realm of things, it's hard to get out, because a lot of people from our generation and other generations too, they inflate love and passion with abuse and argument and drama. Right. So once you get caught in that bubble and you think it's love, it's going to be hard to get out.
Right. That makes sense. So how can people take accountability for their own red flags? I know even sometimes I have to check myself and be like, is this behavior okay? Do I need to check myself? Is this a red flag that someone could look at it and be like, what the heck is going on here? How do people take accountability for their own stuff?
A lot of reflection. Hindsight is 20/20. If you can't get it in front of you, then get it from behind you. Look behind you, look at your life, and really think to yourself, what problems have I caused in my relationships? Have I been argumentative? Have I allowed my stress, my trauma to influence my relationships or to influence me? That is taking a catalog of yourself and being self-aware. That comes back down to that self-awareness. For a lot of people, it's good to journal. If you don't have a therapist, then you journal and you can reflect back what's being said to you through your own paper. You're writing it to yourself, and when you read it back, you say, man, I didn't see it that way. I didn't know that I was feeling like that. And those are the ways in which you can see your own red flags. But truth of the matter is that most people know exactly what their red flags are. They just haven't sat down and really had a conversation about it. But if you can't get there by yourself, then it's good to find the most objective friend or family member or community member around you and ask them, like, let me tell you a little bit about my relationships and let me hear from you advice-wise what things that you think that I do that may be problematic, right? And getting that from an outside source who you know isn't trying to get something from you, who respects you and cares about you.
Right. That's funny. Yeah, self-reflection is a big thing. So what red flags can look good in the beginning, or can be like cute in the beginning, or romantic somewhat in the beginning?
When people are the thing is that relationships are like puzzle pieces, right? And the rougher your edges are as far as your puzzle piece because of what you've been through, the more likely that something that's messed up will fit next to you. That's why you have to heal. Because if your puzzle piece has become jagged because of all the things that you've been through, then a jagged other puzzle piece from another person will connect with you well. And it'll make it seem like, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. Like a lot of those women who get in those situations where they're physically abused by a man, they'll look at the seclusion early and be like, oh, he just really want me to himself. Right. And you want to be wanted. Like you want that. You want somebody to be like, that's my girl. I want her to myself.
Right.
That's my man. I want him to myself. We want that from each other. But very early on, if you're unhealed, then you're going to tend to look at his bad behaviors as being something that may be, oh, that may be a good thing. I mean, that's not bad. He really liked me. But it's because of the unhealed part of you is connected to this person, and it's allowing them to get more time from you.
Right. That makes sense. Wow. What are some other things like that could be cute in the beginning, just out of curiosity? Like what are other things? What about like jealousy? Is that
jealousy?
Necessarily?
Definitely.
Really?
Because to some degree it looks cute. Oh, you jealous? Oh, they really want me. Oh, like they're putting a fence around me to guard me because they so jealous. Like some of us have been deprived of being desired to such a degree that other people's jealousy actually makes us feel wanted. When the truth is that jealousy, a man who has you shouldn't be jealous of other people who are trying to get you, unless you putting yourself out there to be got. Right? Yeah. So we gotta think more of it as unwarranted jealousy. Unwarranted jealousy is weird. That is a natural sign of somebody being controlling, and that they want to have some level of control over you.
Okay.
Because it's unwarranted. It's like if you putting yourself out there and you putting out these videos and you putting out all of this stuff, and he's jealous of that, that's not unwarranted. But if you just come home smelling good one day, and he's like, who the hell you smelling good for? That's unwarranted jealousy. It's just weird.
Right, I see.
And it's like, why?
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You know, sometimes like if my boyfriend, he'll go to the cash register and the lady is talking, I'll be like, man, her. Like, is that toxic? Is that a red flag in myself that I need to check?
Do you say that to yourself, or do you say that to him?
Oh, I say it to him out loud.
Do you say it to him jokingly because you're joking, or do you really mean?
I don't really get upset.
Right. It's a joke.
Yeah, yeah.
But switch that up and make that a real thing.
Okay.
That was a real thing.
Like a real argument.
Right. If you really argue, that means that woman, usually that woman has a genuinely hard, unhealed aspect of herself that says that the men that I've been around have cheated on me in my face.
Right.
And now I'm at a point where if I even think for a second that you flirting with a woman, it's gonna trigger something in me that's gonna make me feel like I need to say something to you.
Right. Okay. So that may be a red flag internally that I need to check. Hey, I'm learning something here.
No. That's a joke with you and your man, and it's funny. And you may actually have a little. Everybody has a little bit. A little bit of the jealousy, a little bit of the controlling. It's not about whether you have it in you. Everything that's dark and nasty and evil in the world, we all have a piece of that in us. It's not about that. It's about how you act. That's the reason why we talk so much about feelings and thoughts. Like, you can't believe everything you think. You can't believe everything that you feel. But when you betray it in your actions and in your behaviors, you're showing that even the crazy things that you think and feel, you believe. Because you're trying to force the other person in the relationship to believe this surreal, nonsensical reality that you're creating based off of your feelings and your thoughts.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. So what are some red flag? Like, what is the number one red flag for a toxic man and or a toxic woman?
I mean, for a toxic man, well, men and women in their negative, most shallow aspects tend to want two things from each other, right? The woman wants a man to be an ATM, and the man wants the woman to be a sexual toy, right? So trying to get sex from you, really being on that very early on is a red flag, because he's probably gonna get on you and then pass you up, or utilize you as a notch in his belt, right? Oh yeah, let me go ahead and get with her, lay her down, and it's all good. I'm on my way, right? So anything that they're doing that's over sexualizing, hey, instead of going out on actual dates, is going to the house. Let's go to the house. Let's go kick it at the crib, right? Or
Right.
you know what I'm saying, they not trying to take you out, not trying to show. And on top of that, if they don't want you to necessarily be around other people or be seen with you, that means they doing a bunch of other things. So whenever they trying to have dates in the house, it's because there's a bunch of other people outside the house, and they can't control who they see when they go out, but they can tell you for sure they ain't gonna see nobody in their house but who they invite.
Right.
Right. And then for women who want you to be their ATM, honestly, men, you should know that they don't care about you. You already know. You chose her anyway. You just want her because she's pretty, and because you can put her on your arm. But most men, I don't have to say too much. You know she don't care about you. The girls who want you as an ATM, you know she don't care about you. You know that she don't care about you. All you need to do is talk to one of your close friends, one of your close homies, or even one of your close female friends, and just give them a little tidbit about what's going on. And if you trust them, they'll let you know. Okay, she did this, and this. If she's always trying to go somewhere pricey, right? And I seen that list of things on dates. If we can't go on a coffee date, like to get to know each other, I think that's a major problem as far as a red flag.
Absolutely.
Because to me, you just want too much. And then a number one red flag in conversation with women is if she's not asking you no questions, right? If she's not asking you no questions, then she wants you to be an ATM most likely. Because what she's doing is she's planting her idea on you like a blank canvas, and you're just responding. Like, it's weird when a woman doesn't ask any questions, because there's no real intent to get to know you. And if I'm using you, I don't care about getting to know you, right? Even if I'm as a woman, even if they're allowing you to have sex with them, if they don't care about getting to know you, there's no real relationship there.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. So my last question is, how do you discern what red flags are worth leaving for, and kind of what things are workable with?
The small stuff is the biggest stuff. The small stuff is the biggest stuff. It's like shooting in the military. They tell you when you're shooting that if you aim small, you'll miss big. So always aim for center mass, right? And so it's the small things that we aim at that really cause the biggest problems. If you're not getting respect right off the bat, and you don't feel respected, leave it alone. If someone isn't willing to answer questions, leave it alone, right? And this is red flags that's at the very beginning. That's not worth your time in dealing with and trying to figure it all out. Because one thing that men and women will do in relationships is you're attracted to somebody, so you feel like it's all worth figuring out. There are certain things, a lack of respect doesn't need to be figured out. There's nothing there. It's a lack of respect. What are you figuring out, right? And when you're dealing with them, you have to trust your instincts, which means that until you really gather self-awareness within yourself, you shouldn't be trying so hard to date anyway. Date yourself, love yourself, make sure you're self-aware, so that when you get into a situation, someone can't sell you a dream that you don't even want.
That makes perfect sense. Amal, thank you so much for shedding light onto all of these topics, because once again, we know you got the credentials. So red flags, you guys, let us know your biggest red flag that you've either experienced or that you've made someone else experience in the comments below, because I'm just interested to see. I'm gonna ask you, Amal, what's the biggest red flag you've dealt with, or whatever?
The biggest red flag I done dealt with in some of my like bad experiences with dealing with a woman was mostly about like how their insecurities made them want to control getting their way. Like some of the women that I've met, you know, because, you know, being a spiritual and being someone who is trying to heal and do healing, you tend to attract wounded people, which is not a problem. We all have wounds, right? But with some of those people who have been extremely wounded, they have been wounded in such a way that they have a need to get their way in their relationships, because if they don't, then they feel like there's no way things are going to be right. And they say, well, shit, if it's going to be wrong, at least I got my way, right? So being controlling right off the bat, being jealous right off the bat are always been a big super red flags for me, because I've had women that just think, oh, they think I'm a player, or they think I'm out there. And the truth be told is, like, I have loyalty down the line. I'm loyal to the soil. So at the end of the day, if I say something to you, believe you me, if I act outside of that, then you should definitely just leave me, because I don't believe that I'm going to get loyalty if I don't exhibit loyalty. Like, to me, it's a golden rule thing down the line. So if you being jealous about that, and you know me, like, you obviously know me well enough to be with me at that point. And if you're being jealous with that, then that usually is a big sign for me to step back and be like, yeah, let me leave you alone, because you don't have no reason to be jealous or controlling like that. I'm not going to just exit like that.
Right. We want to hear from you guys and see what is the biggest red flag, that you have dealt with. Yes, we thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate all the comments and the people who took the time to watch the last and first video that we made. So we thank you so much for that.
And please do like and subscribe. If you have any comments of what kind of videos you want us to do next, or what kind of topics you would like us to talk about, whether that's relationships, mental health, or even spirituality in terms of Ifa or Palo Mayombe, if there's anything that you want to talk about, please put it in the comments, like and subscribe.
And comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we thank you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Right this second. Before you leave this video, go like it and comment on it.
Much appreciated. You guys have a beautiful day.